that helps him.
I would not do that.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Small.
Here.
Gothier.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Brumman. Here. Ready.
Here. Special meeting. For the intent of reviewing reviewing the healthcare options that Jennifer Martin was going to bring, who is not here yet. And the other purpose was to review the general fund 2022 budget.
There you go.
No, that should be good.
Yeah, you're good now.
back on wherever you'd like.
In front of everybody here. What's that?
I'll give up my chair.
It's, I think, whatever, I just don't wanna have my back entirely to everybody. I think we can make it work. How is it today? Good. It's a nice day out there. Yeah, I did. Pretty uneventful, that's how I like it. I think I come at this time with snow too. So I'm good here in the lawnmower out there.
I didn't even make the connection in my mind. I was like, well, what the heck?
Yeah, it kind of caught me off guard when I got out of the car too. If you want to just take one and pass them down, you got them? Okay. Oh, you have another copy.
Probably. Just in case we'll go off the new information.
They are, yep.
I can count on the fingers count how many times they didn't work out.
Well, my best friend.
Yeah, just laugh because you said that. I know.
All the
How many
paper.
fingers he had left? He had
That's
left.
it. It's like on the back. You got an extra copy.
I have, did everybody, I do have that.
I might have
Yeah,
handed, I
you
might
did.
have handed you.
One was-
extra.
one was-
Thank you.
Almost full of time.
Okay, you have the floor, Jennifer.
All right, so I think last time when we did the call, I believe we went over the Hra tracking, correct? I think we did. Did we go over this piece?
Probably.
I think we
I
did.
thought we did, I can remember.
Yeah, I think, and it's not probably as irrelevant to everything anyways, so I won't, we'll jump right into the numbers, which is what you guys are really wanting to see anyways. So here is one for each of you guys. So this is the same thing, I think. It might be a little bit bigger, I'm not sure if it is, then I know sometimes they're not exactly the easiest to follow, which is why I always have so much colors on here. When they come to me, they're very black and white, and I have the color to help keep us all on the same page, because there's so much going on. So we did get some quotes back from some various carriers, and what I did is I pulled off some of those that were not as competitive. BCN was one of them that was not as competitive, and I think I put it on here as far as the dollar amounts. If not, I did bring one copy of the spreadsheet. So we did get a few other quotes too that we had requested. ASR is one of them. They actually are one of the partners that we're working with more heavily in the municipality space. Clare County is one. I just moved over a couple of months ago, and we've got a feed with them. So it's pretty exciting because we can do what we've always done with Blue Cross with ASR to be able to bring those rates down, but unfortunately I couldn't get a quote. So they just weren't competitive. ASR, so have you heard of HAP, HAP? So they, HAP bought ASR or vice versa, but it's a Cofinity network. HAP's been around forever. ASR is more like a TPA. So they would be like a third-party administrator for self-funding business. So when you're buying like that stop loss, they manage that stop loss. So it's a different way to establish a plan to create savings. And it's something that we're starting to have some success with in our municipality clients. But with you guys, I couldn't get a competitive quote. So what that tells me is your guys' rates are in a good spot, especially if they decline and then BCN rates were quite a bit higher. At least I know with priority, we're in the right spot. We just then have to figure out, is there some alternative within priority that we can take advantage of to maybe reduce some of that increase. And so that's kind of what I have laid out here.
Can we get a quote, from the Teamsters connection?
No, they did not respond with one.
They did not respond.
I've been hearing Teamsters rates have really went up, so that could be why. This is the first year, so actually, I'm working with an account with Mason County Road who's with Teamsters, and their rates just flew up. And so we're pulling them off Teamsters, but I'm hearing, this is probably the first year in a long time that I've heard that, so I'm not sure if their fund balance has started to, maybe because of COVID and claims, you know, I think that's been hard with a lot of the pools, Mesa being one, so that could be it. So going back to this spreadsheet, if you look at the very first two columns here, you're going to see your current plan and your reimbursed plan, which is that kind of blue aqua color. So this is the HRA plan. This is the plan that was at one time, a couple of years ago, the more popular plan that now we kind of have most migrating over to the HSA. So we've got 7 right now enrolled in this option. This is the one where we're buying that higher deductible. So we're buying that 5,000 deductible, but the employees are only responsible for 2,000 of the 5,000. This is where too, employees have front end coverage on prescriptions, on office visits and things like that, where with the HSA, everything goes towards the deductible. And so with this plan, there's a couple of different rate components that line into it. So back in the very first column, aqua color, if you see, you'll see a current monthly cost of $402. And then to the right of that, you're going to see a renewal monthly cost of $441. So what that is that is the carrier renewal. So underneath that in orange, you'll see 9.75%. What that means is the carrier, so Priority Health on that 5,000 deductible plan is giving us a 9.75% increase. To the right of that, this is the HRA benefit. So this is what the employees are seeing. They're not seeing a 5,000 deductible, they're seeing a 2,000. So we have to come up with what we call an illustrative rate. We have to come up with a number that is close to the claims that we've reimbursed back to be able to have a illustrative cost to determine PA 152, to determine COBRA calculations. There's a lot of different things because we can't base it off the 5,000 deductible premium because they're not getting a 5,000 deductible, they're getting a 2,000. And so it works better for the employee to do it this way as well, because if we were to establish it without the HRA, then the illustrative rate would be much higher. And so the reason being is because we've got group members that don't use the benefit. So instead of let's take a different scenario here. A lot of groups, they'll buy like $100 deductible. Well, you've got employees that maybe don't use the insurance at all. So why buy $100 deductible and pay an extremely high premium on everybody when you could buy a 5,000 and strip it down to the bare bones and then pay those claims with that savings on those that just use the benefit. So in the end, you're going to come out ahead. It's the same concept here, just a little different. Savings we're not seeing as great now because we only have 7 in here, but they're still seeing that difference. We are starting to kind of come to a very close point though, to where I think next year we might end up saying, okay, let's just buy this plan because we have such little participation. If we had some of these move back over, then it would start to work the way it should again. But there comes a point where the risk might start to outweigh because we don't have all of the employees in here to help offset some of that risk.
So it's coming to a time where we just don't offer each other.
And it could be this year. So with your guys' plan, let's see where we're at right now real quick. Oops, one.
As mentioned, Jennifer, while you're looking for that, if we don't offer an HRA, then we wouldn't have any plan available for our Medicare eligible package.
Right, so what we could do though is, yeah, because when I look at this, we're about to flop over. So what could potentially make sense is we just buy a 2,000 deductible plan. So that way we're still having a plan in place for those that are not eligible for the HSA. And I don't know, maybe even meeting union contracts, I'm not sure what's said in there too, but we're still offering a plan, but we're just offering it at a true fully insured fashion. So there's no HRA, so that 5,000 would go away and we'd just be buying a 2,000 deductible plan. So we're to that point where it almost makes sense to do that, and maybe it's this year that we do that.
What would that mean for rates?
So if you guys look, and you don't have it in front of you, but on the HRA piece, so this one here, you're going to see, so rate, and maybe I'll hand this out, this might help simplify what I'm trying to say. Now I'm gonna trace. So this here, this is that HRA tracking. I think we covered this the last time that we connected. It's usually the first thing that I like to cover. So this doesn't have anything on your renewal on it. But what this is this shows, okay, this is the plans that we have in place. The first two are the what we offer to the employees. The last one is for the pre-65. So this first two lines, the blue and the white here, this is that HRA that I'm talking about. So what I do is I am always looking to see, at the very bottom, you'll see an HRA arrow. Throughout the year, I always want to watch this to make sure your HRA claims don't exceed your premium savings, okay? So usually, and I think historically, if you look to the far right, you'll see a box. I mean, we've saved upwards to almost 80,000, you know, at some point, but we had a lot of members on it. It made sense. You can see that number starting to get low again, and that's because we had those people migrate over to the HSA. So now our risk is much higher because we don't have all the healthy that are subsidizing, you know, that are subsidizing some of the unhealthy. And so what's happening here is potentially we could come out either at an even or even a little higher, to where what this tells me is we might want to just buy the 2,000 deductible and not do the HRA. Because what this, so premium savings, what it says is $7,800 was the difference in premium for these 7 employees to buy the 5,000 deductible plan. Okay, so $7,800. So single rate is 402, and to buy a 2,000, it's 445. Well, of course, we'd rather go 402, but if our claims are exceeding that difference, then we might as well just pay the 402 or 445 and not pay the claims. And that's where we're at. We're at that point where I think it makes more sense.
So that's the reimbursement plan.
It is, yep. So this is what the employees are on, and this is what we would then calculate as an illustrative rate. It's what we would calculate for COBRA purposes. But typically, overall, the number is going to fall less than that. But like I said, we're at that point where I think maybe in budget wise, it probably is going to be easier for you guys too. Because now we're back into a fixed rate like you are on the HSA side. So I don't know if I got the actual rates on here for a 2,000, so I'd have to go back and get it, because these would be last year's rates. But it's gonna be a very similar spread, and it's gonna make sense. So again, I think that might make the most sense for this year, is to do that. Or the other option is, if you look at option number 2 on the spreadsheet, and I highlighted in yellow and red in that gray box, you can see some of the changes to the plan. And this is going to at least bring us down to 3%, but I still don't know that it makes sense. And having that co-insurance on there now, that scares a little bit higher, that scares me a little bit, because I think that's gonna really put us lopsided here. Because my guess is we've got the people, some of the people that are on this plan are the ones that are actually using the benefit. So we just wanna be smart about how we're managing the funding of it. I think most of the real healthy employees, maybe that aren't using the benefit, they've all went over to the HSA. Okay, so I can put that on a spreadsheet, and after today, and we talk about this, what I like to do then is go back and pull some of this off and just show you exactly what you guys wanted. So that way it's much clearer to look at and visualize. But that will definitely be part of that game plan. So just to kind of go through some of these numbers, that if we were to buy that 2,000 without the HRA, this part of it would go away. But so you guys understand it, we've got, so that 9.75% on the 5,000 deductible plan. To the right of that, that is the utilization we build in, and then down below that is going to be the full illustrative rate. So it's basically 441.62 in the blue, plus 57.29 to the right of that in the gray, is going to equal 498.91 below that in the gray. So when we're looking at establishing like the hard cap for the 80/20 or even 15%, that's the number that we're looking at. That's the number we're working off of. To the right, these are two different options that I was able to create a little bit of cost savings, not a ton. Just again, because this is our smaller division at this point, but I think, like I said, I think for you guys, it might be better off just to buy it direct. It's just a matter of, do you want to change that coverage level up a little bit, or are we looking to maybe just try to keep the benefit itself the same?
That's a question.
It is, I don't know, I mean, do you guys open your contracts every year? You don't, so are we in a,
We have a clause in them that says that each year we evaluate and redetermine. So we could go to 20, we could go to where we want to.
Okay, so I'll have to look and see with that plan, what we can buy at a 2,000 deductible level, and hopefully it'll keep these dollars the same that you guys have. If not, I'll let you know. Because the plans nowadays, they're more cookie cutter, where 10 years ago, we used to be able to kind of plug and play. So we could pick this drug card and pick this office visit, and we can't do that anymore because of Affordable Care Act. So when I look at a 2,000 deductible plan on the menu, it might come with a $25 office visit. And if that's the case, and we're not doing an HRA, we'll have to take that $25 office visit. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. So I'll pull it in though, and I'll let you guys know. Going further, let's go all the way to the right to this green column. This is where we've got the bulk of the employees. This is the HSA. We've got 42 enrolled. This has a 2,000 deductible. And then the out-of-pocket max on an HSA is the other piece I like to always look at. So a 2,000 deductible out-of-pocket max is a 3,000. Right now, the county is contributing 1,000 into their HSA accounts if they're a single enrollee, and then 2,000 if they're a two-person or a family. And so that offsets quite a bit of that deductible. And you can see down at the very bottom, you're going to see a box that says 2021 15% cost share. So it's the bottom box underneath that green column. So today, that's what they're paying for that plan. They're paying $69.27. Each year, you guys have a decision with PA 152, so you guys can either opt out, which historically, that's kind of what we've done. And then we've established our own cost share at that 15%. Or you can opt in, and if you opt in, then it's, do we want to do hard cap, or do we want to do 80/20? And so that's why we put those calculations on there, so you guys can see. So if we were to opt out and continue with our 15% cost share, and we made no changes to this plan, the employee's cost share would go from, on a family, $195 to $216 a month. So at least we're not seeing a huge increase in what they're paying out of their paycheck. Yes.
Plans are free for the employees.
Okay, I'm sorry. So we must have just been still doing it in comparison to this one, I think is what I was doing. Because the goal always is when we were establishing it, I know the cost share, we wanted them to match up. I think that's what it was, and then we went to free. That's why we put it on here. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm lost back.
Okay.
Two comments before you were talking about the 195,
Mhm.
and where am I finding?
So,
Oh, the very bottom. of the
Very,
two
very
oh-
bottom,
Wait,
yep.
wait,
And
okay.
so, like Trina just mentioned though, so that 15%, that's if you guys were charging them 15%. I forgot, you guys have this one as your free plan. But I know Craig always wanted to see the calculation at 15% because he was always trying to keep the two plans very similar in cost. So if you look at the 15% on both sides, it's very even. And I think that's how at one point we were starting to structure the employee contribution into that plan, but he was trying to keep it the cost very similar between the two.
The left side is the HRA and the right side is the HSA.
Yes, you got it. Yep. So blue is HRA, green is HSA. Yep. So what this though, I guess could tell you is if you look, so a rate above where you see that 15%, that 195 that you were just looking at, right above it, you'll see another box that says 15%. So that 15% is off of the new rates if we were to make no change. So that way you guys can see too, for budget wise, there's not a big change in that spread if we were to renew as is. To the right of that, you're going to see two different options. So we do have a couple of different options here that we can look at if we wanted to make a change. Option number one, this is going to change their drug card. So it's only going to be in the first two tiers. Right now, they're paying either 10 or a 40 for a there's the two generic, so tier 1 generic and tier 2 generic, so 10 or 40. Where option number 1 is going to be 15 or 50. So it's going to take it up $5 on the first tier or $10 on that second tier for their copay. So that's the one change. The rest of those tiers remain the same. And then you'll notice down at the bottom, there's an additional 500 out-of-pocket max. So on the front end, they're not going to see much difference between where they're at today. For anybody that might hit that out-of-pocket max, that's where those people are going to see a little bit of a difference because they're going to have another $500 to go. Or if they're enrolled as a two-person or a family, then they're going to have another $1,000 to go. So that would save about $12,000, almost $13,000 from your renewal. And then to the right of that, the other option would be keep the drug card the same, but increase the deductible by $500. And then you'll see too, in addition, that out-of-pocket max is going up as well. So not a lot of options when it comes to that HSA. I did look at going up to a $6,000 deductible to play around to see premium. We could reduce the premium by buying a higher deductible and then contribute more into their account to offset that to keep it whole. But this is kind of more that sweet spot that makes sense for you guys. And so this would be just making some minor tweaks if you wanted to try and offset that.
So I'd pull it back from our over 10% to only 6.5%.
Exactly, yep. from the carrier. Down below that, where you see another set of numbers, what those numbers represent is the premium from the carrier plus your guys's contributions. So it's taking, for instance, on a single $1,000, divide that by 12. I don't know, is it 100 and, I don't remember what it was.
89.
Thank you.
Something like that.
And adding it to the premium. So move it forward at 424 plus 508, that's that $1,000. Because when we do the calculations, we gotta count for those dollars as well.
So we need to keep an HRA option for the Medicare, how's it go? Medicare eligible. And then, okay. I don't think the, discussion right now it's workshop technically, but option 2 HSA doesn't seem that terrible. Yeah, it's more higher deductible, but
See, there's enough spread there to your contributions, but the problem is we're not flat or under.
Okay, so if I look at the HSA, I'm looking at the second green box. I'm seeing a difference for a couple, a double. For the year, for the employee. No. For a year, the difference in cost would be $1,300. If the renewal is 1,019 and the current is 908, the difference times 12 becomes $1,300, $1,332.
Hang on for a minute, I'm not sure. I'm lost. Where is that ledger at?
She's in that.
Oh, right up here, got it, okay.
If I'm reading correctly.
Correct, so it goes from 908 to 1,019 on a 2-person rate.
Times 12.
Yes, yep, the difference times 12 is what the premium goes up.
Right, which is $1,332.
Yep, and then, right now, this plan is free to the employees, but you could do a small cost share on that too. So instead of changing the plan, maybe keep the plan the same, and then you can offset some of that increase by adding in a cost share as well. Maybe they'd rather have that. So, if you take 24,000 of what you would save to get it at 6%, that would be about 40, around 47. Obviously, we'd have to tear it out, but you need about $47 per member a month to get you there.
So again, going back to that same area, on the HSA, if we left things as they are currently, we have an increase of 4,200, almost 4,250 a month. Or 50,000, almost 51,000
Yes,
for the year.
which is towards the bottom.
And that's the 12.24%.
That's making no changes, so yes.
Right.
Well, 51,000 is what the increase is overall with those 42 enrollees.
So an increase of $1,200 per enrollee.
Yes. So there's a few different things that we can, or different ways we can tackle it for sure. I guess, where are you guys at with your budgets? What are you guys trying to accomplish?
Keeping it as low as we can without damaging healthcare for our employees.
Right,
So option two, HSA, the real only difference, well, the prescription changes and then the max out of pocket goes up
mhm,
$1,000 for a family of 500 person.
correct, yeah. Option one is gonna have the least impact, for sure. The nice thing with option two is even though the deductible goes up, so the deductible goes up 500, they're gonna feel it. They're gonna pay it on the front end. This 3,500, that's not gonna feel much different because you got the deductible on.
Yeah.
Because that goes towards it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're gonna feel that on the front end, where option one, they're gonna feel it on the back end, and the bulk of the employees probably aren't gonna feel it. Because they're not getting that to begin with.
Well, right now, we're budgeted for this, we're budgeted at 10 increase, 10%. Fit this option.
Mhm. Is there any interest? I didn't really thought about this a lot. Is there any interest on the part of the board to modify, depending upon which plan? Well, no, to modify the amount of the cash that is provided on the semi-annual basis because of modifications in what they would be paying out.
You're saying the HSA fee.
Pardon?
You're talking the HSA fee,
The contribution.
the contribution.
Right. I'm just
Give
curious.
them more,
Modify, whether that would become more or less, in theory, it would probably become more. And I'm only talking, I mean, I haven't done the math on that approach, but if there's more coming out of pocket, because we're raising that, do we, to a small degree, want to consider increasing the HSA payment?
what would wash out all our savings?
I would not wash them, I would not intend to wash them all out,
Yeah.
but to modify them a
What,
little.
what advantage is it to modify?
Well, it's less detrimental to an employee.
You take like
I'm sorry.
1250 and 2500 or something like that,
Pardon?
like a 1250 and 2500.
I was more thinking of like 2250, or even 2200.
For a family?
I realize the amount's going up more than that,
Mhm.
Or 1100 and 2200.
possibly, but it would cushion that a little bit. It's just, I just toss it out as a, well, maybe.
Well, risk.
I mean, yeah. We're getting. Bottom line, is we're getting him with 10% change.
Yeah. We should have to suck that up.
Yeah, I mean, so. It's just.
So if you guys did, let's say you bumped it up $100,
Change the rates.
no, that's not gonna change, but if you bumped it up 100 for a single and 200 for a two-person or a family, based on this enrollment, that would be another about $6,100 you'd be looking at.
Just a thought.
Let's stick with the option one.
So. If.
Well, let me ask this way. Do we have any interest or any desire to eliminate the HRA plan? My answer to that would be no, but
It's getting to that point. I think it's gonna go close.
we may be getting there. Is this the year we want to do it? I don't really think so, but
So I think we can't, so we wouldn't, we have to, like Trina mentioned, we've gotta keep this plan or alike on, as an option because of anybody that's on any, a federal type program like Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE, things like that. So we have to keep it here, but it doesn't mean we have to do the HRA. And I think that's what I would recommend. I think we maybe eliminate the HRA this year and have just a plan available, because the savings is not it's not creating savings anymore like it used to. Does that make sense? And I think it's going to help with your guys' budgeting a whole lot more when we don't have that variable. And now we can come to a fix on both sides. Now, if we happen to, at some point, everyone starts to jump back over, then it's probably gonna make sense to go back to that HRA. But right now, I think it makes more sense just to buy the 2,000 deductible plan.
So it would be a $2,000 deductible plan, not considered an HRA. What do the benefits or as you go down each line item, do they stay the same?
So that's what I'll have to look at the menu and see. It's going to be very close, if not the same. So I'll have to look and see, because that's where, the plans are more cookie cutter. I have to see what comes with that 2,000. As far as the cost goes though, because the dollars, the illustrative rate is so high, it's almost as close as buying it itself. So I don't think it's gonna create any big sudden change in what they're used to paying. And they're still gonna have a 2,000 deductible. The only difference to them is they're just gonna get one explanation of benefits versus getting two.
So when you look at that reimbursement plan, then if we went with that way, it shows it's like a 0.77% reduction in total cost, right?
No, so I don't have that 2,000 deductible plan on here. So
Okay,
I
I
would
know.
have to pull that quote. What
You
this
think
is
it's
saying,
yeah,
this 7% is saying utilization is gone down for the HRA. And that is because it's starting to level out. So last year, we took a larger amount. Then we had another, I think last year, I think was a second year, they mostly came out. So this year is starting to level out.
If it's beginning to level out, maybe that's all the more reason to keep it.
Well, the problem though is when I look at your HRA tracking, I mean, all it takes is one person to have a major claim and we wipe out any savings that we have to begin with.
Well, that's true, either one.
Well, it's not though, because on the HSA, it's a fixed. So on the HSA, there's no variable.
But the cost is still there. And ultimately reflects in our next year.
It does, that is correct.
Yeah.
But when we're looking at the budgeting side of things from year to year, I think that's something you would then tackle that year to.
So that's kicking the can down the road.
I mean, you can look at it that way. I just, when I look at, because we only have 7 people in here, I feel like we're at a point now to where we're taking on more risk than what we need to. So I feel we still need to offer this plan. We still need to offer a non-HSA plan. But I feel like we're taking on more risk because we only have 7 people in it now. Because right now, you guys are responsible, so let's say we've got 2 families right now enrolled. You guys are responsible for paying $6,000 on their deductible and some of that co-insurance. So, let's say both families end up paying full deductible, that's $12,000 just in 2 families, when we're only saving $7,800 between the spread between the 2 is only $7,800. So instead, financially, I think it makes more sense just to buy that plan. Now, if we still have those claims, yes, we might see that in the rates next year, but we have an opportunity to make a change before those rates kick in like we're doing here. Whether it's to another carrier, whether it's to a different plan. I mean, eventually we're gonna feel that. But at least you're not gonna be paying it out directly from your budget in that fiscal year, dollar for dollar. Because over on, if we buy this direct and on your HSA, your claims are fixed. So whether you've got 10 cancers or one cancer, it's one fixed rate that we agree on right now at this table. On the HRA, we've got our fixed rate, but then we've got this variable number that you could pay out, you know, a big dollar. And the nice thing is we've got a cap, so it's not like it's ever gonna be, you know, 50,000 on one person. We're not in a self-funded program, but we are in kind of like a hybrid of being self-funded with that 4,000 or that $10,000 cap on a
I
deductible.
guess I want to see how it varies. Arena of services,
Mhm.
dollar cost.
Yep,
of
yep.
services.
So I just gotta pull that from the menu, but I could easily do that and put it on here. And so what I would do is put that on here alongside what you currently have, and then, show what you guys wanna do over here on the HSA, to simplify one spreadsheet.
Is, just a question,
Mhm.
is it getting close where we just go to hard cap? 80/20?
Well, if you go to hard cap, I mean, we could go to the hard cap, but then you're gonna be applying the hard cap over here, and you're gonna have two free plans. So then whatever, you know, I know it's only 7 people over here that are paying a cost share, so it's not gonna have a huge impact to where you're at, because we're doing free here. But we could, if you guys wanted to make it simple, we could. When you do go to hard cap, though, keep in mind now, they're gonna see, okay, we're $190 below cap. What can we get for that $190? Now they're gonna say, we want you guys to put more money into our HSA to get us to the cap. So typically, when I've got a group that's doing a hard cap, they want to be right at that hard cap. So that's the only thing that you potentially could run into, to where here, I think you guys have a little more control still. Where I think you're gonna probably see more cost if you go that route. It's backwards. I mean, in most groups, it's you know, going, you want to do opting in is what's helping to control the cost. But for you guys and the way your plans are established, I think it would work the opposite for you. Does that make sense to you guys? Unless you went 80/20. So if you opted in and then went 80/20, then you can see, okay, now they're paying, but now we're going to a point where, do we want to do that to our employees? I mean, we'd be taking them from free to now all of a sudden they're paying $288 a month.
Right.
That's a big jump. So it's just trying to find that even ground of the best way to tackle this. So I think if you were gonna go 80/20, it would opt out this year and maybe do 10%, next year do 15, and kind of inch them up to that, so they're not feeling such a hit at once. But opting out allows you guys to do whatever you want. So I mean, you could make this free, make this 15% like we're doing today. You could start to create, you know, instead of maybe the employees, instead of having their plan changed, maybe they'd rather pay, you know, $20 out of their paycheck or something. And that's gonna help offset that increase by some cost share. So that's something to think about too.
Yeah, it's almost cheaper just to take the money out on your own and apply it towards the extra 1,000, you know, put it in, stick it under your mattress and have it there for the extra, I mean, for the employee, that's what I would do.
Right.
I hit the max every year because I have a ton of kids, so
Mhm.
trust me, this impacts me harder than everybody sitting at this table, so.
I'm with you. I'm on an HSA and do the same thing.
So we need to see a plan with that 2,000.
Yeah, so 2,000 over here, and I think that's the easier part of the conversation, because it's accommodating a very small amount, and I think it's financially, it's what makes sense here and keeping the plan in place. Over here, though, I think is where it's, do we keep it free and absorb the cost? Do we keep it free and move maybe to option one that gets us to what we budgeted at 10% with some minor changes to the plan? Do we keep it, keep the current plan and maybe create a small cost share? So I think there's or you could do collective, you know, we move to one and create a small cost share, which, you know, technically could get our 10% down to 5%. So we could look at it that way too.
Two-part question, Jennifer.
Mhm.
Dealing only with HSAs right now.
Right.
From your perspective, your knowledge, etc., which do you feel is the best for your? And the second half of that question is, what do you think is best for the employee? That's in the realm of reasonability.
As far as the two plans that you guys offered today, I think it really depends. I think for the employer, I think we've got two great plans that are costing the county.
No, I'm speaking
Very
only
similar.
the HSA.
Okay,
I mean,
The
plan
H-
one or plan two, I mean, option one or two, and, you know, I mean,
Just looking for your recommendation.
but from both sides.
yeah, so I think option number one is fair. I think that helps get us down a little bit without having a big impact on the employee. Where I think option two, like I said before, I think it's hurting them more on the front end. They're gonna feel it more. Everyone's gonna feel that. Where option number one, they're not gonna feel it as much. And, you know, you could, to offset that little bit just in the first two tiers of drugs, you could bump it up $100 like you talked about, or 200 on a family. That's $6,100. So now you're still saving a little bit. But you're gonna be back rate about what, 10.5, 11% increase.
So when you look at option, when you go down there, and it says 9.19%,
Mhm.
$12,000 savings, that you would go over to your combined costs, and that's what you're saying. So if it's 56,000 total more costs, I guess, you take that 12 off of that, it turns to 44.
Yeah.
Still a $44,000 increase going to that.
Yeah. So when you guys budgeted a 10%, what was that 10% in dollars? Do you remember?
Put it nicely, you know.
It had to have been close to this.
It had to be really close because it's the
Because-
same, everything.
It is, and this is where the bulk of the employees are, so it had to have been pretty close. Now, I know Trina has been really hitting me hard, and I appreciate it, because it's something I wasn't aware of myself with the ARPA and those dollars. And so I don't know if you've had a chance at all, or if you guys plan to reach out to legal on that, but maybe there's some opportunity there too, and if that was the case, then you know, maybe you stay with your current plan and try to offset some of the premium, because I know one thing I don't want to say you can't, because there's so much gray that I can't even get answers, and that's why I'm saying seek legal at this point. But I have a very hard time believing that they would allow you to use those dollars to contribute into an HSA, just because
Yeah.
IRS, legal, like there's usually, it's pretty black and white, and it's pretty restrictive. And so I think your option would be better than to take an increase here and offset the premium versus changing this and maybe using some of those dollars for that. I know we did reach out to, I don't know if you guys know Dina Bosworth at the MAC at all, but she actually spoke on this. I found out. It's been bugging me, Trina. I have continued to look,
Thank you.
but there's no answers I can find, of course. So I did reach out to her and the same thing. It's, nobody wants to give the answer.
Well, because they know what to change tomorrow.
Yeah. So, I don't know what legal would say, and I'm curious if you do reach out, please let me know. I'm curious what they do say, but
There's some of the legal that you read that says, we haven't seen all the documents. We don't know for sure.
yeah,
We've seen all these, but we
Right.
know there's another file over there.
yeah.
We're not sure what
Well,
to
and when I was doing that research, I did find that spreadsheet, and I don't know if that made sense to you or not, but it confused me, but I mean, it spells out the counties in your, I think it was your townships or your zones, I can't remember, in the dollars. But I don't understand it enough to,
Well, there is world.
I instead in turn overwhelmed Trina back, I think, with probably more questions than answers, so.
So we need more information on what we, HRA 2000 plan?
Yep, so I can put out, what I'll do is plug that one in very easily, yep.
I don't know, I kind of like this option one HSA. It's what we budgeted for, keep everything else the same.
I think, when you look at it, if you did do that option, when it goes there, but I mean, we have 49 employees enrolled in our insurance program, and we're seeing over $1,000 increase per employee. For insurance. That's just what it is. And that's,
I mean, we'd have to restructure the whole, with the health savings account. If you charge them a monthly rate, then why even contribute to their HSA? You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, it's one pocket to the other in some ways. I know there's some advantages with FICA, depending on how you do it too. But I mean, you are right. You do get to a point where it's one pocket to another, but it does for the employee. A lot of employees, they're not savers, are not gonna put money in. They're gonna see a $2,000 deductible and think this insurance is not any good, where sometimes it's better to charge them a premium and give them that money, because now they're forced to use that money to pay for that deductible. Where if you're giving it to them for free and expecting them to put money in, a lot of employees don't, then they go and seek care. Now they're paying that money and not thinking, oh, but I get it for free, I don't have to pay a cost share. They're not thinking that because they're not sitting and having this discussion. So in some cases, I think that's why employers do that. Because it does make the plan richer for the employees, and the money is being used for what it's intended for.
Okay.
Now, if we did go to option number one, we certainly could still, and I could check too with our compliance department and see if there's some opportunity to maybe offer additional dollars in their HSA, obviously not tied to anything, just as an employer, we're now gonna offer additional dollars throughout the year. Or we could for sure, you could, decide to increase that, all the way up to the end of the year, so to speak. So we could at least get the ball rolling here. That's the most important part. And you guys still would have time to decide, what do we want to do for a contribution? That piece is not really tied to the carrier and the renewal and making a change. So you guys could then continue to make that decision based upon budgets and so forth. But at least you would know, okay, at least we got our increase down a few points for the premium, and then we can decide what we want to do, if we want to increase the employees or the employees contribution at all. We would have a little bit of time to continue to process that.
all right, so HRA 2000, and then you're gonna let us know about the contributions options on option one.
Yep.
Any other questions for Jennifer?
I have one.
Yep.
Open enrollment is still December 1st through the 30th, correct?
Yes.
You know, I decided on this by the next meeting, which is next Wednesday, 17th. Or else we're out special meeting for the rest of the month. Again.
And I should be able to get what you guys need here. I should be able to get this to you tomorrow. So
Okay.
you'll have it
Okay.
plenty of time in advance, so that there's a whole book of options. So we've got them, it's overwhelming when you put up more on here, so we try to start, it's our starting point, and then can easily revise it, so I can get that to you. It'll either be up tonight or tomorrow for sure. So a couple other things too, here is where I kind of, I summarize as I'm going through everything, I try to summarize a lot of things here, but EMS, so that is one thing that I was asked to quote. And so we did get a quote back on them. Now, basically what that means is it's going to have a very slight positive impact on the rates if the EMS were to come on board. So I think that was the most important pieces. We didn't want to bring them on and then have our rates blow up. They actually have a positive impact. So my assumption is their average age is lower. Or brings your overall average age down a little bit, but it's not, I mean, it's not making a huge difference one way or the other. If they decided they wanted to come on, what I would do is simply just add them on. So if it's 1-1, you would just enroll them in 1-1. And at least we know next year, I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, because we added EMS on, now we're seeing an extra 5% increase. That's what we wanted to make sure wasn't gonna happen. But it's really not gonna have a huge impact one way or the other. So I don't know, Trina, too, as far as reporting back to them, or if you needed to report back to them, but if so, the rates I would give them are the rates that we, the same here. Yep. So once I pull that additional piece together, if you wanna share that, it'll be a more simplified piece, or,
Do you wanna kind of send it back with like the option 1 with the HSA and then that no HRA?
Yep, that's what I'll do. And what I'll do too is maybe even put together this type of a piece.
Yeah.
Then it's even simpler for them to see, for them to have, and have those rates. Just make myself know on that too. And then, ancillary, so Delta Dental, VSP, and Lincoln, so all three of those were at a 0%. So we don't have to worry about doing anything on that end this year. So no change in rates there. I don't know, so Trina, and we can talk about this more too, but did you decide you want to move the Cobra over to task or the iSolve, the priority? And we can talk about it later too, if you want, it's up to you, but that's something if we do want to transition that, we want to do it during the renewal time as well.
And it wouldn't change costs or anything like that, but
It actually would reduce costs because if you're a priority health customer, they can do it for free. And right now you guys are paying, I think it's $1.15 per employee per month. So that would reduce costs. And so if you want, we can get someone maybe on the phone from task and get all your questions answered and, you know, talk about what that transition would look like. So I can set something up and then you just tell us if you want to transition it or not. The good news is it would reduce costs, not increase costs. And then the other thing is the B-Swift. That's something I'd like to roll out for next year's open enrollment. So it's a service that historically we've always charged for. It's an online enrollment tool. And for some of my groups, I'm rolling it out regardless of no cost, just because it makes everything so much easier, less paper. Your office isn't touching it, our office isn't touching it, it's coming through on a feed. So when the enrollments go through, it's so much easier for everybody. So we've kind of invested on that side of it. It does take a while because we have to build it specifically for our group. And so that's not something I want to rush into for this year. Instead, we'll get through this open enrollment and then start to build it through the year. We build it on our end, but we would lean on Trina in her office for some of the information we might need, but that I'd like to have next year. And then too, just so you guys know, there's more you guys can put into it as well. So if there's ever something that you need employees to sign off on or see, like the, all of the different documents you gotta hand them at each year you're required, all of that stuff we load on there. So they're electronically signing off too. So
Quick question on that.
Yes.
Jennifer. You said it wouldn't cost anything to roll it out. What about future?
So no cost for the enrollment side of it. So the only thing we would charge for is the reporting. So if you want us to do the reporting and tracking, but I think you guys already do one piece of that, if I recall. I'd have to go back and look, but that would be whatever you guys are paying today. Yep. So so that would be the enrollment. There's other things that you can add on. We can always talk about what those are and if it makes sense or not.
Okay.
Yep. Let's see. Oops, not sure. I think that was it, guys. So I did put in here the HSA annual limits for 2022. So you guys can see those, and I think I did. So here's another piece too. I'll leave these behind as well. And that talks about the 2022 HSAs and the new contributions. Any other questions?
I think so. Shoot us those new numbers so we can
Yep.
make our choice next week.
I will get those out to you guys. No, I don't. If you don't mind just shredding them for me, that would be great. That's what I'm gonna do. Alright, well, I'll send that over and then you guys just holler if you have questions or would like to schedule a call or something to go through it as well.
Yeah,
And maybe what I'll do too is throw a couple of scenarios on there too, cost wise of what it would look like if we were to bump up that contribution a little bit and just kind of throw, a couple of ideas out there. I think, like I said, the HSA is the bigger part. I'm just trying to figure out how to best get creative, so it's most effective for your budget, but also, it's still effective for the employee as well. How's it going with the closure of the jail?
Done.
Yeah. Yeah, is there any other counties that have done that?
Yeah.
Montmorency.
Yeah, Montmorency.
Just did it.
So what is Ascoda doing then? Because didn't Ascoda house on that Montmorency?
You're talking
Is it
about Scott
Alpena?
County?
Yeah,
Yeah, I suppose probably going.
They've always been closed, so
They've always been closed.
No, I'm sorry, they've got all.
West
oh, it's Overmount, that's what it is.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
they've got connections.
Yeah, there's lots of.
okay. I do their inmate program too, so I insure the inmates, and we always have to do that where they come from Montmorency or Alpena, but I don't see that stuff much anymore, so I wasn't sure. My husband actually is in law enforcement and he's at Mecosta County. And I can see why, it's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see, he's working sometimes 80 hours a week, because they have no help.
Yeah.
So, and you finally get someone trained and through the academy and, one just didn't show up for work. Another one left his uniform in his locker and didn't come back. So then you're getting mandated and it's like what those employees that are working those hours eventually are gonna say enough's enough. And
Yep. Burned out.
then what happens?
Yeah, then you train them all for a couple of years and they go somewhere else.
Yeah, but it's like if you have no one that is, on the road and manning the jails and
Yeah.
it's scary for sure. All right, well,
Thank
you
you.
guys holler if you have questions,
Okay.
and then I will follow up and we'll go from there.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. You're welcome.
Not that I want to prolong this anymore, but does anybody need a recess before we go on to budget stuff? All right, I'll do a recess then. 5 minutes for each.
My brain exploded. No, even.
Oh, we went fast for a minute there, sorry.
We had somebody watching.
No, but they can go back and watch the recording later.
Secrets.
I'm just throwing a curveball here. I wasn't expecting to be sitting here talking to you about this today.
You come to
Well,
talk to
they-
me about.
Well, no, I mean, I did. I sent information and I know I've talked to Evan. I talked briefly to Carolyn too, so.
Did you not want to talk to us? today?
No. I would rather get it done and over with and just get
Okay.
it done and, move forward and. So you guys probably don't have a copy of what I submitted for a budget.
Yep, and
Yeah.
three of us only seen this for today, so you're gonna have to give them a lowdown on what you're up to.
Okay, so, and I did send an email, but anyways, I'll try and remember everything I wanted to touch base on. So, we have a part-time position in the registrar's office, which now, is coming to very close to being, there for 6 months. So, I mean, I presented some information to the Personnel Committee earlier this week, but I would really like to try to move forward to opening that to a full-time position. So, I mean, I have some limited information in regards to that.
I had requested that she sort of give us a background on the amount of work and so forth. And she did.
That, I mean, I do have a copy if everyone would like to see that. I mean, the top page just kind of gives you an overview from 2016 till today on the percentage of increase in the document counts. I mean, in 18, the document count actually did go down slightly. But up until that point, it was about a 2% increase over each year. From 19 to 20 went to a 5% increase to this year, which I'm anticipating about a 13% increase. So we do have a lot higher document value. And whether it's going to stay that high or not, I can tell you in early 2000s. I mean, in 2009, we were recording 5,000 documents. It's been quite a, it's been a little bit since we've been at that point, but things seem to be moving in that direction right now. The other pages attached there are just basically revenue and expenses for the registrar's office from the period of 2016 to 2021. So I just had put that in there to kind of give you an overview of the revenue that the office is generating.
The revenue is a non-entity. Revenue is not a fact.
Because it goes into the general fund, right?
Well, if we were to base
Yes.
raises, et cetera, on
Based
the
on-
revenue,
There's departments that don't make
let me
revenue.
tell you, treasurer's office would be just flying high.
Right.
But that's not, John doesn't get any revenue. So he wouldn't be getting any increase. Don't run away, John. They just cost us money.
Right.
Respectfully, I say that. So we,
No, but what it can do, it does show
I mean,
the amount of work.
I would
based on
say it
this.
would
but
reflect.
it's irrelevant to raises.
The dollar amount is still relevant, but the amount that it's
The
generated
increases here in documents.
in documents, but and it's always good to see how it equivalents over into a dollar and cents situation.
And that, I mean, the last couple of years have, well,
Last year was amazingly good considering.
yes, and I'm anticipating that we're gonna be in that same boat. Our, I mean, the dollar amount of the property sales are up as well as the
Right.
property
Taxation.
sales themselves. So, I would anticipate,
that to be about or more than what it was last year, so. So I have a few big asks here, and I guess I'm just thankful for the time to be able to express my concerns. So I don't know if anyone, in regards to, understand, I have just spoken with personnel about it. If I feel that maybe there's some more work that we need to do on that end before they're gonna give you a recommendation as to whether they feel to move forward on that,
And then-
but that's.
There's mixed feelings in personnel. I'm not gonna indicate who's what direction, but
Geez, so you didn't just do that 30 seconds
There's only two
ago?
people that.
the two people, there's two opinions. No, they're not totally diverse, but they're,
I think your email that we just received was.
That lays
it's
out
right to
pretty
the
good.
point. It's
It
right to the
explains
point. I mean, you know, and I.
I don't have any other
totally-
questions for you.
It does. So, then, I did budget. In my email, I did make reference about the salary of the elected official and the deputy. And I guess I'm just asking for consideration in that aspect.
So the budget.
And,
I have a question for the board, only because I've been out of it for a while, I guess. On her overall budget, there's nothing in contingency or education, and then it goes up into, there's areas, there's some places we do budget, like through life insurance, there's a dollar amount there. Then we do a health insurance buyout, we do that. Termination, we don't, there's nothing in termination. So if a person does leave with a substantial history, where does that buyout come from? Does that come from their budget department, or does it come from the general fund?
Right, general
fund.
Yeah, general fund.
That's why they wouldn't show up.
well, and it come from 920,
Yeah, right.
but that's not general fund.
Well, yeah.
But it wouldn't come from the department itself.
But you can see, we haven't used that for like,
Many years. I was just, that's why I
Well, in
question.
this department, we have.
and I should have
We
turned
haven't
that
done
off. That was my bad when I printed it, so.
Okay. Just
so
question.
well, he asked me the same question, and I guess, there's, for me to ask this as well, so what I was telling him is this is really the third year that I have had to submit a budget. Prior to being appointed to register, I didn't do anything with the budget. So a lot of what you see here, I've made some changes over the last couple of years and tried to move forward with things, but in terms of, I know what the first time I was here, I looked back at what had been budgeted previously, because I had no idea what even to try and figure to put in for those. So, I know some years ago, budgets were cut quite drastically when the county went through the hardship with the treasurer. So I don't, in looking back at the way things were budgeted prior to myself being in the register's position, I don't know. Is it okay to budget something for training? Do we budget for travel? I guess
If you anticipate that's going to happen for your department, then yes.
How do you budget if you don't use it, you don't use it?
And then if we don't want, and if we don't decide you can have it, then we don't decide you can have it, I guess.
okay.
At the end of the day.
But yeah, but if you think you're gonna do it, you budget for it.
Well, yes.
No, like your
I
association.
mean, I'm just going on information I received prior to becoming the register, and then, so it's all a learning experience and, moving forward.
That's why I brought it up, just
Keep that in
because
mind.
it's new to me too. Usually if you have association dues, you would show that a dollar figure, and if you used them, fine. If you didn't use them, then it just,
Mhm.
or if it's a place where when we do the budget cut, and it says, oh, no, you gotta drop your budget 10%, that would be one of the ones that could be dropped without
Mhm.
harm to the actual service.
Yeah.
So do I understand correctly then, I think this has just become obvious. Missy did not finish this budget request.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I feel that I.
If
I
she's
know-
comfortable
with it, if she's comfortable
I,
with
at
it,
this point, I am. I mean, I don't feel that I need to change anything at this point.
But we don't have any association dues for you. And I think the part, we don't have any equipment repair, no training. And I would have thought those would have been areas that she would have.
they weren't there prior other years.
Well, I don't know, I'd have to quit.
Well,
Right here, it
I
says
would say, I
2019
mean,
has been budgeted for, and it's not been used, or else there would have been money in there. These are amended budgets.
Right, that's what I was getting at, is it, looking back, in her defense, she's looking back at last year's, the year before, and if it wasn't there, then she's assuming that that's either it wasn't allowed or it wasn't necessary.
Just didn't use it, so.
Yeah,
and I think, yeah, so I mean, the first budget I would have done was in 2018, and I can tell you, I mean, those figures were not in there. And, I guess, I mean, now this all comes to light, I really should have, I guess, asked more questions, open things up. I am a member of the Michigan Association of Register of Deeds. And what I have been doing is utilizing funds out of the
Oh,
256 to
Right.
pay for
and
that.
a lot of departments do that.
Mhm. So, and then as far as training goes, I mean, I have some, I usually go to a conference and
That comes out of the fund, so.
usually yes, I have traditionally taken it out of that other line.
Right.
So,
So I think we understand. your request and all that.
I think this budget she's comfortable with is maybe next year's budget that she might expand under.
Right, that's what she's emailed us.
Right.
Yep, what she's asked.
There you go.
So, I don't know, I mean, unless anyone has questions regarding the, email that I sent, or if you would like me to elaborate further, or.
No, you had your justifications in there, I think so.
If you have questions, or, I mean, you want to speak with me, I can make myself available to you, so.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, so. You will notice on the first revenues page, I'm gonna lean on Sheila a little bit to help too. As we go. Oh, no, me, but she's gonna volunteer as a kindness for her. But you'll see that we have more revenue from our tax collection. That's good news. The few line items have semicolons, emergency services, EMPG.
I don't see it. I know they start with 655, starts with 402.
Let John print these for me.
That's a 30, page 1,
There.
the top corner.
This is page 2. This is page 2 out of 33.
Yeah, that's right.
And this one's 1 out of 31.
This is 1 out of 31.
Thank you. But I want to take somebody else's.
No, it's fine. I'll look up with, I'll get off Bill.
We have an extra set
I
here.
got an extra set. It's good back.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Trouble person.
So back to what I was saying, so I want to look at the asterisk ones first.
That's where you want to go.
I don't even know where to look for emergency services, EMPG grant. I'm guessing that's what that is. It'd get 7,000 for the last 3 years. We're gonna get that again.
Yeah.
Is that a
All right, so I can note 7K in there.
I think that's.
Is that the marijuana stuff? Or grant?
Yes.
I wish it was, I wish it was. That would be awesome.
No, that's not him, but it's.
It's a law enforcement.
Oh,
Grant.
sorry about that.
And now it went up 3,200 for 21.
21 with 3,200 in there, but it's a lot, I guess.
What did we, are the amended budget figures that we have currently that
Yeah.
we have 3,200 in the bank for that?
According to the amended budget for 20, 21. Oh, I don't know if it's in the bank, but that's what we budgeted.
It's not showing, are you checking for 2021?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not showing an activity, so it hasn't come in yet.
we haven't got it yet.
Okay, thank you.
So for 2022 though, we want
We
to,
could plan on $1,500 there, right?
This is a government giving this.
I think we could.
Why
Yeah.
number again?
Or,
That would be 502001. And then we have the Homeland Security from the sheriff. Now, it doesn't show that we budgeted for that last year.
I haven't heard.
That was some equipment that we had for the harbor or something, wasn't it?
I
Legal
think
before that?
them two questions, Scott answered them real well last year. When
Yeah.
we did this, I mean,
So we don't get that again.
I think we just need to ask Scott.
I have not received anything on my desk in regards to it.
Mhm.
I think we need to ask Scott. Those two.
All right.
State liquor tax.
For
They might ask for stuff, we're doing that.
State liquor tax was 99 and 20. We budgeted for 95, so budget 95 again.
Yeah, sounds fair.
It's probably gonna be more, I know.
Now we're on your medical marijuana.
It would have been really cool if that was legal.
Well, we had 7205 and 20. We budgeted 740 next 7,
Would it be reasonable to put like 65 or 7?
7,500 dollars.
Do I think it's?
Who's responsible for that one? Is that the one that is district health?
I think that is a district
Yeah.
health one.
Well, then it's a pass through then.
Yeah.
So what do we have in
It
the
doesn't really-
expenditure side? We should have the same figure in the expenditure side.
He doesn't have all expenditures down here, do you?
Yeah, well, I have just not for them. I don't have theirs.
So we gotta just put an asterisk on that, that it's gotta show up on the expenditures.
What,
I would put 7,500.
I didn't print off.
As long as we're 7,500 over in the, but I don't see,
Well, what we can do is we can put these numbers in,
now I don't have.
then we can go back
968.
and look at the computer on our.
This is just general
program.
fund.
Yeah, general fund 101,968.
Here, do I didn't print. for some reason.
968 right here. Got 968.
There's 968.
What are you looking for, Carolyn?
District health medical marijuana, we need to put that same figure in.
4206, but we haven't received any money, 20 or 21.
Maybe that grant don't come in.
But if we put it, we got money in last year.
Are you talking about the medical marijuana?
Yeah,
Yeah, there was 6,100 that came in this year.
It doesn't show up on this.
Yeah.
so we
Are
can
you
put,
somebody at Cheryl's?
I don't have Cheryl's.
It's all in your boxes.
Oh,
Well, that's a problem. Nobody ever checks their boxes.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, sorry.
have it.
I'll run up and get
it. Copies of it.
oh, there's one.
Part of the problem, you let me be in charge of this.
Yeah, I just don't get it. You can see where our sheet got all the activity is,
Oh, there you go.
showing what's been coming in. Sorry. That's okay. That's where I was told to put on.
Better to find out now than an hour from now.
You didn't, it was me. That was 100% my fault.
I had one copy. Okay. You're up in the- up in
That
the-
Tina-
Trina.
Trina one.
I think John's signaling me to log into my deal.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Okay, so we go from that one to this one.
And we were going so well.
Oh, well.
I thought it was going on smoothly. I thought,
I like the asterisk idea.
See what it shows.
Oh, that's good, mine didn't. That, I mean,
I'm not gonna
I
have
just think that would
asterisk.
be more helpful.
I agree.
This one doesn't have asterisk.
No.
So we have to go back and forth, which is cool.
Oh, difficult, difficult. Now you have this. so Is this?
Oh, this is, no, I got,
It doesn't have to.
I gotta ask for this, sir.
Okay. Okay, so now I gotta go back here.
I had it done, which I wrote it down, so if you guys.
Anything about the letter to Avery yet.
Okay, right.
I'm over at the school the last day and a half doing over for the food house again. So,
Oh. Who's the business?
I don't think I'm in a bad mood.
No.
I'm doing pretty well.
Somebody poked the bear when he walked through the door. I'm
Tell
telling
me, you read a stupid email.
you. That is, he comes in, you got to read the newspaper.
I read that in last Friday. didn't
I didn't-
I
I didn't
just
pull it.
laughed.
No, we're live, by the way.
Sorry. Let's put it this way, maybe both. On the next book,
Oh. Now how do I get to it? That's got a cool cover page, just way better when I did. I apologize, Cheryl, if you're gonna watch this later. You have every right to be angry with me.
That's right. You should be watching it from wherever.
She's not watching right now, but she can watch it later on YouTube.
It's so nice to see you, Cheryl.
Take me through the- take me through
Hi,
the
Carol.
Play by three. There, thank you, John. There you go, buddy. Yeah. Over here, number. Sorry, Sheila.
okay. Now we go back to medical marijuana.
This is back one, back one. All right. All right. Is medical marijuana?
No, for marijuana, it doesn't. Doesn't, we got 6,100 in.
I think 6,000 or 6,100 is an appropriate
Hmm.
fair figure,
6,000,
or 6,100. I mean,
61.
You guys had said 7,500.
Yeah, when we.
We're going to 61 now.
Never changed it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we have in so far this year, 61.
74, 61.
Are we gonna fill in Cheryl's or we're gonna fill in yours? Yours has asterisk.
You're taking on the numbers. Yeah?
Numbers.
Oh, you're gonna, okay, all right,
So that was 61.
yeah.
Okay.
Or 74.
One number or the other.
Good Lord,
Equalization.
61.
services.
61.
Thank you.
Oh, there's no asterisk.
No, but you gotta jump back.
State funded disaster, oh, that is an asterisk. Only.
615. Equalization services.
We have, 6,000 in so far this year. We had, oh no, we have 9,000 in this year.
That would stay with-
We got, we got it right there projected at 6,000.
What did we drop, Dustin? No.
Oh,
Well, I would think we could at least have 8,000.
I think that's what Troy projected maybe.
8,000.
Is it the 60 you did?
Yeah,
That's
maybe
right here,
it's his
it's already good.
budget.
It's already in.
Yeah, it's
6,000.
already there.
So that's what he submitted.
Okay. that's what Troy submitted, okay. GIS fees. We got 1,000, we got 510 in this year.
Sounds like a $500.
We've had 1,000 every
It's,
year.
it's gotta be 1,000. That's how much we
1,000?
charge the townships for GS, so.
Crime victim collection. Crime victim collection, $50. We only got $14.50 in this year.
That is 625,001.
Yeah, I'm just going by the asterisks.
Well, we gotta tell her what the number is, so she can. write it down.
She's found.
Oh, right.
Thank you.
Sorry.
She's way ahead of us.
All right,
Crime
excellent.
victim, 625.
I think we just did that.
We
one.
did that one, sorry, done.
We did.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is it?
5.
Did it when you were looking.
627,001 is a 0.
We're just going by the asterisks, right?
The employees meal, that you're saying, Carolyn? 0, okay.
Right, we don't have a cook anymore.
Yeah, we got 1,086.50 this year
Mhm.
in there.
you
Yeah, but we don't have a
cook
cook
next year.
anymore.
Oh. Okay.
I'd like to hire one just so we have new meals when we want them.
All right. Pretty, we have $320 in so far. Oh, there I got money in, no.
Yeah, that's all squared away.
Oh, yeah.
It's the bail bond.
Bail bond connection.
Sorry, where did you guys?
We got $320 so far this year.
400.
All right. School liaison, I don't know.
I sent an email to, this morning I sent an email to,
Dan,
Dan O'Connor asking if he,
We've got a budget for school liaison, 303. 101, 303.
yeah,
Hold up, I got a question on bail bonds.
Yep.
On Cheryl's, the bail bond for 22 is open at this point, which shows 700 and 320 for the other 2 years. The paper that Adam gave us, what happened to it? Lost it.
we just added 400 to it, it's empty.
Right, but they had 800 and 700.
No, we've got $320 in so far this year.
Right,
Bail bonds, we had 720, we budgeted 700.
right.
We only got 320, so we're gonna say 422.
these are both 2021.
Okay.
This is the budget, this is
Amended or
what we
active.
used.
All right.
So we're gonna put 400 there.
I think parole detainee needs to be a 0
Yeah, we budgeted 1,000, there's been nothing.
because we won't be retaining them.
No. And school liaison officer, do we budget money in there in case?
Well, we could put some money in. I mean, they did get a pile of money from the federal government. I don't know why they couldn't kick in. Where is that at?
This number, it's right on this. I think, Carolyn, I think we should put money in there for that.
I have no problem.
School liaison,
What number?
it's 627,009,
27, thank you.
it's on the first page,
627.
009.
Oh, that didn't print off. It didn't print in Cheryl's report.
Yeah,
I don't have no 09.
She's got her inactives turned
Well,
off.
because it was inactive,
Yeah,
so the one that Adam printed, it shows it, but
Well, we can make note if that's what you guys. what's
I
the
think we should
line?
put money in there.
Yes.
well,
Yes.
I was looking at the budget and it's 33,000 on our.
Right.
Yeah, but they don't pay us the full 30.
No, I know, but we could figure on 15.
At least.
Put 15 in there for it.
If we did one, they did one and they would pay us like 15,
Yeah.
we paid about 7. Yeah,
Or
for 15, 20, for 20,
15.
15,
Let's not reach for the stars.
15,000.
Well, let's not do a full service for nothing.
That's one.
50 is fine.
State voter registration. 6003. We budgeted $50 and we haven't got anything in. So I'll leave it at 50.
Where are you?
I'm on second page, state voter registration.
Oh,
$50.
Possibly because this is a voting, 2022 is a voting year, so there may be a
There you
little
go.
bit more activity.
Yeah. So I put 100 in there then, just to
50, 100, I don't, I
Just
think a
50.
little, but I don't think a lot.
put 50.
I would say stop past
All
100.
right,
50 or, yeah,
50.
50 is good.
All right. reimbursement jury fees.
1,500.
We've got, we budgeted 3,000, we've got 1,483 in. Yeah, 1,500.
Insurance dividend, 2,000.
Where you at?
Next line.
We're doing 1,500?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that doesn't show, yeah, we, that insurance dividend, we've gotten $1,966 in
Yeah, I said 2,000.
division.
Boarding prisoners, 0. Boarding
Same for-
prisoners, 0.
0. Same for healthcare.
Prisoners health system reimbursed. I don't know that 100 needs to be there, but it may, so,
Yeah, we still have overnighters, don't we?
nope.
No?
But we may have some bills that come from
Oh,
IASCO
yeah.
for it.
Leave that at 100.
Yeah, well, the inmate medical, 500 is probably not a bad figure.
Will that be for IASCO now? Charges from IASCO for us?
Isn't that part of?
Oh,
the
this is our
Yeah.
revenue side.
This
Yeah,
Yeah, this is all
0,
revenue
I
side.
think.
it'd be 0, yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
All this inmate stuff would be 0 on revenue side.
correct. I would agree.
The next one is down reimbursements, direct costs. Direct costs. On your side, I don't think Cheryl's even got that in there. On her side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she got indirect costs, estimates per 75%. Where did you come up with?
That was off of the report we got from, what did it make it in here, though, did it?
We had, she's showing 92,000. And Cheryl's already got it in her budget, 92,000.
What line are we in?
The asterisk says
689,003.
reimbursement indirect costs.
And it's already been filled in.
Yeah, $92,060.
Oh, I see, since you put a note in there. it says-
Yeah, there's a note.
There's a note that says that as well.
Reimbursement IT. We had
That's the same deal.
10,000, okay. Reimbursement insurance claims.
We went claims here, huh?
Well, we had 10,550 budgeted and we've got
What
10,550
is
in.
it?
Reimbursement insurance claim.
What is the basis for the 92,000?
Raising the indirect costs from
50%
to
to
75%.
75%. The library and everything else that has a village. That uses the services of the clerk and the treasurer.
That's on their village stuff.
Hmm?
On the village stuff.
No, that's what we charge.
Yeah, what we charge because we collect their millage, right?
No, we charge because they do services directly for
Payroll.
our clerk and treasurer
To the
performs.
village that was passed for them.
No,
Use that.
they contract us to do payroll
Oh,
and all these other things. They don't have to use us.
right.
They could go to anybody.
Totally else. So we're talking.
So what's the breakout on that? Library is what?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me.
Right now.
I'd have to go print it off and share it with you.
Okay.
But I know where you're going with this.
If you would, at some point, not now, but
We can have that fight later.
prefer to have a discussion later, but okay.
Transfers in, the last asterisk is transfers in from COVID funding. Cheryl's got 265,000 in that.
Yep, that's that percentage of the percentage or whatever it was. And then,
And then you got,
if it's ambulances, they owe us money. What's that money we loaned them last year?
where you seeing it?
699, 210.
She got 50,000 in there.
Yep. Legal property tax. I don't know if we're getting that this year.
think that's, what other ones does Cheryl need? Sheila, I think. Cedar Lake would be left blank. Or Salaries.
That wouldn't be general fund.
I'm just. Oh, Cheryl.
I think that's it for.
I think that's it for revenue side.
So for, just for fundies, how much did we just add to the revenue side?
I didn't add it up.
We should have to figure it out.
I don't care if it's exact, it's just.
About 307,000.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, yeah, the ARPA.
Yeah, you added the 200.
Oh, the ARPA wasn't already on there?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. Somewhere like that, 307, 300. Oh, dollars.
Oh, those are in there.
Whatever.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there it goes. When I printed this off, it was looking a lot sweeter than this.
Oh, this is still revenues up here. Wait, this revenues over here too. Oh, yeah, she's got it. Something.
I think
Did somebody, do we have a number or no?
Well, Cheryl, I put numbers on hers. And then Cheryl was looking for the blanks filled on hers, so Sheila might have it.
I think 716,002 can be reduced. Mhm. No, the deductible. 80 to 6. or
Where
five.
are you on?
Hold on, don't go so fast. Hold on, we gotta wait for Sheila.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If it's too much, don't worry about it right now.
Yeah, I don't have the right couple.
No problem. Just my own personal gratification.
We'll let you come out of the phone, including your figure.
I can pop them into my.
All right, well, we'll start with governing body and go down through there, I guess. Well, this is gonna seem tedious and a drag. To get this done. We're gonna give ourselves raises this year. Oh, okay. Moving on.
Per diem needs to be raised. We're 2,000 short right now.
We used to be at 22 and 24 on two.
Yeah, we're at almost 17,000 right now. We only have 15,000 budget. We need to raise that budget. On the per diem.
I didn't know that was negative. I didn't see that come across on the thing.
Yeah, that has it.
So we need to make 714,000 18,000.
We're probably gonna hit that this year. So I'd go 20.
714.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20,000.
You just.
That should up your FICA just a little bit.
It just,
If I
Back
could
to
need to go up
sad.
a little bit, you think?
Well, you just raise that 5. I did the computation. on
Oh,
this a
yeah,
while
well,
ago.
yeah, we're FICA, we're already over budget by $1,200. So she raised it up
She raised it,
to
but still.
58, so.
Sure. 10%, that's a 10% increase. We can leave that. Okay. Health insurance buyout, is anybody taking insurance and not doing anything different this year than they did last year?
For health insurance?
Are they the same?
Maybe change.
how maybe,
Might be going to it. Opting out, I don't know, but
yeah, that drastically impacts our budget here.
yeah, I'm very good, likely going to do that.
Oh, 2 miles of that.
Just to pull a buyout and add in a whole person. That's a good thing for, you want to make a note of that, Trina?
FICA is probably over by at least $500. Although what I did not see. 15,000.
So what, the per diem?
Oh, I didn't add 15. That may be okay.
It was like $500.
The hospital insurance deductible, the budget of 10, we only use 36 so far.
That's true.
Leave it 10 again, I guess.
I'd leave it 10 if he's gonna switch. HSA, well, depends what you're gonna take. Well, we don't discuss that right now, too personal.
Can't take HSA, he's gotta take.
Oh, well, there you go.
He's gotta take
I forgot.
Way to be, guy.
You know what? You know what? I worked a lot of years. I think you can just do this yourself.
See you guys later. Sorry.
You need to keep working to support us in
Yeah.
the manner that we are becoming.
Yeah, legal services, there we go.
Argument should be legit.
Yeah, that's all good down there.
Murders should be legit. Board liaison, good. Office supplies, good.
I think that's only the one we need to change up there.
Are we going to put anything in for 911 services?
Special 911 services. Oh, yeah.
We had no activity so far.
Well, they just haven't been billed yet.
You haven't been billed yet.
Yeah.
Good reason.
That's what, let's talk about that another time. That goes along with our other conversation.
Well, we have the money in there, so this thing gets done.
We may not be putting money in there at the end of the day.
Are you gonna lock the door completely then? Going into the sheriff's department at night?
We can fight about it later. I don't wanna fight about it now. Same thing with EMS. That has to do with that, what that is, okay, let's do it right now. Is what it is. The argument has always been, since we started to charge other entities that use the services of the clerk and the treasurer that have their own millage.
Yeah, I do.
We charge them for the services for that and then IT. However, in the past, EMS has argued, well, we come and do blood work for the jail or whatever. Well, we don't have a jail anymore. I
Well,
guess we do blood work for alcohol tests, draw blood for that, but it doesn't certainly equal thousands and thousands of dollars. Number one.
I'm not pushing for a dollar amount at this point. What I am saying is they do that. Because of them, you are able to have the activity that you have to track. Because there are a number of contracts that require you to have a medical personnel on site to have the races or whatever. I just toss that in for what it's worth.
Now, do they, okay, I'll just question, the fair has an ambulance during Saturday, Friday night, Saturday night. I'm not familiar on who pays for them, or is that part of a deal?
That's right there.
That part of it,
It's my understanding. It's right there.
but I'm not seeing money go one way or the other, so
No,
I'm assuming
well-
it does get charged, and it's not a freebie.
And the other side of that coin is 911 does things for the sheriff's department after hours, as far as processing, I don't even know exactly what it is, some documents and things. But, like I said, it bears a lot more, consideration, a lot more than we wanna try to go about right now.
So the
Matt,
animal's blank right now, or we?
leave them blank for right now, please. Mac dues should be good.
That's not how the rest of mine's good.
North, 22 bank fees. Anybody else see anything questionable in the rest of there? Okay. And if we're comfortable, we'll move to the next. Trial court. I don't know. This is what was submitted by Jennifer.
Increasing the budget by $25,000.
Yeah. This requested salary for court administrator, Trina, is that based on, no, is that based on percentages or anything, or is that what they asked for above the different?
All we did was put in what you guys told us.
Yeah.
Okay,
As far as
so they, well,
non-
there's some departments that put their own wages in here, is why I'm asking.
No, this is just a percent.
That's 1.76%,
Yeah.
but she also gets paid from 4 sources,
Mhm.
3,
No, that's true.
4 different other funds. Now, obviously, 1.7% is 1.7% on $155,000.
Oh, there's percentage there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I picked the wrong one. I'm sorry. Oh, crap.
You're right.
But other than that, I don't, if anybody sees anything red flags or weird here, the 25%, where does that even come up? You got two,
Well,
it's
it's
all the raises, right?
Telephone went up $7,000.
Oh, there you go. There it is.
Yeah.
Telephone.
I take it back, the court administrator is 7.2% increase.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is that,
Oh, I didn't see that. Hello.
Yeah, why would it be 7.2%?
Is that what they submitted?
that, no, that's what I'm saying, is this is not, this is what was submitted.
Yes.
It's not what we figured out.
Well, this is the first time I've actually seen it after what we figured. What we figured was 2%. If they put in their own calculations, then I haven't.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen.
Yeah, so what we gotta do is just red flag that and get a hold of Jennifer and ask.
The interesting thing is, everybody else in the department, except for the judge, got 2%.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that 5% needs to be redistributed a little bit,
We gotta get a hold of Jennifer.
or just eliminated.
I'm just prepping it for, because there's more to come. Here's another one, oh, that hospital insurance, that one, 10%, 16%, what's that? Trump driver case bill? Deputy pay, no. Well, who cares?
The biggest thing, the
The
biggest thing,
phone.
there was a phone and hospital insurance.
Court appointed counsel is up. No, it's not either. It's not either.
Okay, so we move on to
Yeah, well,
jury commission. That's pretty straightforward. We have clerk. So here's another area.
yeah, that's it.
This is related to the email I got from Missy.
Well, this is in the clerk's office. but-
Well, I know, but they're kind of unified.
Yeah.
Parallel.
Yeah. Raises. We want to see raises.
There's another one, there's.
Not addressing the elected official salary, but I think currently there is a bit of a disparity between the elected official and the deputy. It's $1,100, I'm sorry, $11,000, and that just seems a little excessive to me. Maybe 8,000 differential, 7,000 differential.
Well, maybe if you get there, if you could get there this year, that'd be like a 17% raise. But it's something you're saying it needs to be, needs to get to.
I don't have a problem with more than a 2% increase on the elected official and consequently a 2% on the deputy, but I think there should not be a gap
Yeah, right.
that there is there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to do a pay modification, not call it a wage percentage
Yeah.
increase, but a wage modification because it was poorly represented or computed or whatever word you want to use there.
Some chargers.
So what are the thoughts here then? So what are we thinking then?
Well, I mean, we've seen what they submitted. I think that's, I mean, we've got a discussion, we're gonna have to have a discussion on about 6 different positions.
Yeah.
You know, but right now, I mean, we're going through this budget. And as we see it, this, I mean, I think we're gonna have to sit down with everybody.
I would be very comfortable at a $48,000 or $49,000 figure. As a deputy at a 42, 41, 43,000 figure.
Well, I mean,
You're gonna have to have a discussion with almost all the
yeah,
department head areas, because you just talked about Jennifer with
Right.
7%, these are 212, this is a 10 and a 12, and I think as you
Right.
go through this, you'll find that the top two have been getting
Yeah,
10 and 12.
I understand.
And if we're only offering 3 and barely 4, 2 and 3.
I mean, this budget has to be done and approved before the 1st of December, right?
Yeah, no, yes. Yes, but the problem is that we can't like go, okay, it's gonna, for elected official, we can't go, well, we'll put this much in, I got burned on this last year. We'll put this much in, and if it's less, it's fine.
No, no, no,
Don't
no.
work that way.
Whatever we put in needs to be
It
it.
is what it is. So that's why I'm saying is, let's decide.
How can you decide about talking over the
Well, this is what they want. They want
understand.
51,000 and they're making this much, right?
Yeah, I know
Before-
So do we meet them in the middle? You're not gonna talk them into nothing. True. Right?
Absolutely.
I'm
There
going to
isn't-
suggest
and there-
49 and 43.5.
There's disparities between other department heads too, that have been created at this table. So.
can't. Deputies and department heads are in question.
Yep.
Can we not come up with a percentage so it's fair for everybody across the board? If you start raising one 8% and the other deputy 12%, that's just, it doesn't make sense to me.
Are they starting from the same position,
What do you mean, same position?
the same dollar figure right now?
No.
So that's why percentage is not necessarily the way to go. I'm not saying it's not the way to go, but I'm saying it's one of the factors that gets.
I mean, I think personally, we need to look at what can we afford? Can we afford maybe 3% this year and a guaranteed 3% next year in your salaries? Instead of having it all one lump sum this year and putting all the weight on this year's budget. I think we need to talk about that. I mean, I understand everybody needs raises. I have no problem with that. But to get it all in one lump sum this year,
Hmm.
Or we're negotiating with all the unions, 3-3-3, 4-3-3, 2, whatever. I mean, there's all negotiations, and I see no reason why we can't sit down and negotiate with them and say, okay, we're gonna give you this much percent this year and guarantee this much percent next year. It gives us, as a county, time to really look at the budget and not take that big a hit out of the budget this year. They're guaranteed it. I mean, it's just, you know what I'm saying?
Deputy's not guaranteed.
No, I'm saying if we made a deal like that with them, saying this is, we understand you need a raise, but right now we don't feel the county can afford that big of a raise for everybody this year, so we're gonna do so much this year and so much next year guaranteed. They know where the wage is gonna be within a year, you know what I'm saying? It's just a thought, but
Maybe you could go 5, 5, and 5, and then it wouldn't be such a.
yeah, we could do something like that. I think I agree they all need a raise. I mean. I just kind of idea. I have no problem.
Yeah, instead of Brother Burger, all.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking such a big hit this year. That, I mean, here's the treasurers from, say, 200 to 222, that's a $22,000 increase. And probably the phone's probably in there that helped, but, you know, that's $22,000 increase in one department. So, and,
$8,000,
you know, it's from 199 to 222. You look at, you know, the clerks went from 253 to 288, that's $35,000 increase. I mean, the next thing you know, we're gonna be,
35,000?
yeah. You look at the budget,
Oh, I'm sorry, here's the total budget. I'm sorry, I was
Yeah.
looking at the individual.
no, I mean, you know, so you look at those, you know, and, you know, assessor is only 5,000. I mean, that's probably pretty, well, that's pretty set, because they're all reunion and they're set, he's set in his wage.
We're gonna equalization.
Well, he's set his wage, you know.
Yeah, I suppose he can't get it.
Yeah.
This is very determined.
Yeah, and John's right there, because he's pretty set, you know. Building and grounds, we were talking about that, but he's not showing anything except the 2%. You know, so his that budget's actually went down a couple thousand, but there's the person that we need to talk to. Prosecutor attorney's up 19,000. Registered deeds up 24,000. I mean, that's, to me, them are really big hits for this year with all the other raises that we had. You know, everybody has to get a raise. I mean, I want to bring these people up to where they should be in their departments, but does it really have to be all this year? Can that be looking at 12 months, raise and then another raise next year in January, and you're right there. But it gives us a little bit of help with our budget.
Well, if we consider it.
But I just think we need to talk to everybody and see where they're coming from and start making the decision. Problem is, we don't have a lot of time. It's just a thought for everybody, I'm only one person. But me, it makes dollars and cents.
Well, okay, so clerk treasurer and registered deeds are at,
Million rounds.
no, what are they, what was it last year?
Treasurer was 46,815 last year, or this year.
What register? I should know that.
I think you just look at.
Register of deeds is 46,815 this year, same as the treasurer.
And that's probably the same as clerk.
Yes.
going up from what they're asking.
The 4% that we did,
Oh, so you go 5%, it's like 49, 155, and over 51.
No, it's not 20%.
Yeah,
Year.
well,
We got about 2 5 instead of 20.
one of the other things that I have been asked about, and that is providing a longevity to elected officials. I'm not talking about us. There's pros and cons in that. Yeah, keeps you from elevating, because what happens is if you have a new person walk in the elected as garbage collector, which is, we'll say is an elected position.
I'll run.
Yeah,
I understand it goes back
Yeah.
down.
well, no, you wouldn't go back down. Not unless you made a concerted effort prior to beginning elections to lower that. You've got to do it before they sign up to run.
Yeah.
Okay, here's, what about this?
We're talking elected official, we're talking department heads and deputies.
For department heads for elected official department heads, for the clerk, treasurer, and deeds. What if we went 49 to, that'd be like 5% this year? And then take them up to 51,750 in 2023. We don't have to worry about 2023 now, but we just remember to do that.
That's 10% over 1 year.
2 years.
What's one? You start the year, you're getting 10% raise.
20,
In one, and you 366 days, you get 10% raise, which is fine. I'm just saying it's not a.
well, it's on the next year budget, so,
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. It's only
it's 12 months and you're gonna get.
12 months
10%.
and you're getting 10%.
24 months.
This is reasonable. No, because at the beginning of the second year, you're gonna get your,
You're gonna get a raise.
You're gonna get a raise for that pay period,
okay,
and then the next pay period.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to wait until December pay period to get it all.
so,
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's still, you know what I'm saying?
so what did I say? I didn't write it down. I said it on
Not
the
49.2,
49.2 for elected head,
51,750.
So
and then
you're using-
51,750. That would be for the next 2 years, right? So so for department heads of treasurer, for elected
The
officials,
three,
three, we'd be at 49.2 for this year's budget,
and
for
51,750.
2022 budget. And for 2023 would be 51,750.
51,750. Now, I believe there is way too much division between,
No, yeah, go ahead.
okay,
Well, now you
move
go
to
to
the next
depth,
step.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
So what you're saying is to department heads that we're gonna give you a 10% raise, 5% this year, guaranteed 5% will begin in 23. Correct, that's.
that's not as hard on the budget. So what is for an example, sheriff to under sheriff?
That's $1,500.
What's
But
that?
you've got approximately $11,000
No, we have to go somewhere, but not,
difference. Now, I'm not advocating that we modify it by 11,000, but more than your 5%. We have two deputies who work just as hard as, I started to say they're masters. At times it is their masters.
So, you know, so that's exactly where the clerk has suggested her wage to D is 51.5. So to get to 51.7, it's more, it's gonna be 12 months, but it's gonna be there.
we get it. You're gonna get something this year.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
And
I
we're,
don't know if
so
it,
we're gonna land deputies.
I don't know if it flies, but I'm just, you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Now deputies, they're at, you know,
35,427. One is at 35,427,
one is at 37.
35,427. Another one is at 37,
464.
Right.
I just feel really strongly, there's another point I feel stronger about, but on this, I feel rather strongly that we need to make an adjustment that's not percentage oriented, but is,
Well, it's kind of like setting a new rule, just like the rule that between the sheriff and the under sheriff. The elected official and the deputy is this much gap. Right?
well, if you,
Like, say you put them at 42,000. I don't know how much more it's worth to be an elected official. It's only worth 5,000 to me, so.
there's, if you gave the deputies a 2%, I'm sorry, a 5% raise, same as you're talking about for elected officials,
Yep.
they would be $12,000
Yeah.
and under
Right.
the person that oversees them.
Right.
And I don't think that's appropriate. When you realize that when that elected official walks out the door and says, by the way, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks.
No, they're in
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah, that deputy, everything falls on their shoulders.
But when the cabbage hits the disposal, it's the elected official that's the head of the chopping block, so.
What percent?
So if we're at 49.2 for the department, for the elected official, just what's the number for,
42,000.
42,000 for a deputy?
That's a little better.
Yeah, that's good. You know, it's,
What about 43? Can I sell 43? Fine.
You're sounding.
In your conversations on this, this is basically for elected officials. What are we doing for department heads that are not elected?
We're not there right now.
Not there yet.
Okay.
Cross that bridge in the
Because
bed.
some of those are
Really
compensated really good.
Oh, okay.
It's,
Oh, yeah,
it's all, I mean, there's, you know what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
They got bigger. reasons.
The deputies, are they equal right now? They're not. They're
No.
a little
no,
bit
but I think we should make it equal.
$1,100 difference.
No, to each other.
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
no, they are not.
Sheila, can I ask you a question? You're the highest paid deputy. Is that longevity or because you've been here longer or is it?
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, I was given a raise and I've been in the position.
So that's, you know,
It's not longevity.
But
Okay.
it's, no, but it's not like.
it was just a raise was given when other people didn't get a raise.
That's what it was kind of based on from the.
Now, it's true, had it been longevity, neither Trina nor Nancy would have matched it because they didn't have that longevity in that position.
And really, I think each department has the workload. It's different.
Absolutely.
But each department, I mean,
Should have some similarity.
yeah, they should have some similarity only because it's, you know.
So let's do this. Here's an idea, $7,000 gap between elected official and deputy. So 49.2 and 42.2. And we'll bring all the deputies up to that. And that will be how it is from forever. Then when the elected officials get their second 5% in 23, it'll automatically bring up the deputy.
So, yeah,
I'm okay with that.
so what do you got? What did you say, 42?
49.2, don't ask me why I'm sticking to 49.2
That's okay.
because it just happened.
42.2?
And 42.2.
Okay, and what's 5% of 42.2? It's like another.
Well, no, it won't matter because it just drags up. When the elected
Okay, so
official
we-
gets their raise,
So 51, it'll go to
they get the
44.
same thing.
It'll go 44,550.
So
So,
there'll always be a $6,000-7,000 gap.
so what we're saying for you two department head ladies, you would be from. let me find it. You would be from your 35,000 now to 44,500 in 1 year.
4,500.
That'd be
25.
you could say 13 months, because you would be 42.2 for all of 22, and then you immediately go to 44.5 in January of 23. This is.
Well, I know, but
Like this one.
I think that was based on years.
Huh?
I think that's based on years.
What, yours?
Cheryl's.
Oh,
You see hers
Cheryl's,
different. She's been in that position, I don't know, 14, the other one's been 3.
oh, so she was
That's
looking for
she was
different
based on,
money.
yeah.
Cheryl was looking for a little more money than the other department heads. The other 3 department heads were all the same, or 2.
Okay, and that's where I think we go into a longevity payment based on length of time you've been in the position,
Yeah,
not in the county, but in the position. And I'm fine with that.
I'm disagreeing with that, because you're just elected to have that. You can go get elected. and
I
you
would-
might not get elected.
I would not,
run.
I would not want to differentiate in the base pay because of longevity.
yeah, I see what you're saying.
I'm not sure.
It'd be like a stipend is what you're saying.
I'm comfortable with the 49.2 and the,
So,
now,
okay, so like Kurt, so it'd be, I'm just, it's a $2,400 raise this year, and then it's the other 20, so it's almost $5,000 raise in 13 months.
Yep.
For the department heads.
yes. And if you look at comparables throughout the other counties with our similar budgets, we are at the low end of that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We have.
Okay, did you solve that problem? I think the longevity thing is a discussion for another time.
I'm okay with that.
My opinion. So we handle those 3 that way. Anything else? Oh, I did have a question though. There was something. Works. $5.74 for. That, is there
Where?
the third one down, the salary wage,
Well, that's for,
recording clerk, or whatever,
that's 5.73.
whatever, it was a 5.7% as opposed to the
Oh, for
3 or whatever
for
we're gonna do for non.
your,
Non-union.
for what's her name?
For Amy,
Amy, yeah.
she's governed by the contract.
No, are you saying clerk?
Clerk.
Department.
That would be, sure.
No, I'm saying treasurer's department.
Oh, treasurer.
Oh.
Treasurer's, it's 5.73. Right here.
Oh, well, the clerk did the same thing.
Oh,
I think that they get the 3%, right? I think
Are
the
they
3% was at the
Yes.
beginning of the.
oh, okay, well, yeah,
She's governed
That's
by.
just
Yeah,
for
so that's
step
right.
and stuff.
yeah, that's.
Oh,
step.
steps and things, okay,
Yeah.
that's right, okay, I got it.
Right.
Got it. I'll be smart, it's not. All right. So clerk, treasurer, nothing else in treasurer for eyebrows, go up or anything.
Can we talk about one other thing?
Yeah,
We're
sure.
talking about this. I mean, do we want to talk about the requests for missing at all? Or we're sitting here on budget?
We can, we're almost there.
Well,
We do. for
I'll
now.
give you my opinion. We got her a part-time person. 6 months ago, only been there 6 months. It's working good, but to take that position to full-time without having a year in and also that equalization, or not equalization, but that registered deed goes by the economy and how we're doing. And to take that person to a year in 8 months from now, we gotta lay her off because everything's still shit down the tube. It's not the smartest thing that we could
I agree, it's too soon
do. I
to.
mean, I think it's just too soon to take that person. to full-time.
Yep.
I would agree with you.
That's my opinion. I mean, I'm sure she's doing a great job, and I know there's work getting done there, but I don't think she needs to go full time. I mean, in June and July, it's still crazy. She's got a full year in and it's done great.
We'll see.
Then you can see, but to do it at 6 months doesn't make no sense to me. It's just my opinion.
Well, has seemed to me, not recently, as much as 6 months plus ago, there was an awful lot of spare time that seemed to take place in now.
Yeah.
Well,
It's economy.
Well,
But, you know, but anyway, that was just, I just
No,
thought,
I agree with you.
I
Dan.
think, you know, I mean, when we get to that, I just,
Do you want to
That
make a
must be
motion to
mine.
that effect? That we let it
Don't need a
remain?
motion,
I don't
because the budget will reflect it.
Well, I think maybe we do, and the reason that I say that is because the request has been that she goes full time. True, the budget should reflect what our wishes are.
Yeah.
But I think otherwise she rightfully so could come back to us next month and next month and next month and next month saying, I still want you to move it to full time. If we've made a statement that at this time we decline to do that.
If somebody feels compelled to do that, I don't, that means nothing.
well, I think, yeah, I think so. It's all right. I'll make a motion back for the request from our department head in register deeds. I don't want to say that,
It remained at.
yeah, that the part-time person remain at part-time for the foreseeable future. Yeah.
There's a second,
I'll support.
who seconded? Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Me? Motion carries. Okay. So, where do we leave off here? Treasure, that's squared away, we got, assessor equalization.
I don't think there's anything changed there, is there?
Troy's locked in at his,
Yeah, they just moved a little bit.
everybody's just, their union and whatever.
Yeah. Right. Data processing the same way, John.
Same with John.
There's no, there, just so you guys, the contingency, doesn't look like he budgeted anything for that, he had $50.
Who's that?
Equalization.
Oh.
I didn't know if maybe if he wanted
I'm sorry, say again, who?
contingency line item,
Equalization. Oh.
I don't know if he wanted something there, I mean, he's submitted his budget, but
Yes, I mean, $50 is.
I think we
I
have
wanted
something.
maybe.
Let's leave something there so the line item doesn't cancel out.
Yeah. Just put $50 there, yes.
So 50 in there, then.
And then
And they have to change. They have to go to-
Didn't have $50.
Such a big project. Elections should be all squared away.
She's got money in for the elections this year.
Yeah, you got the extra money. Does she?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 25,000, there it is. Kapow. Building grounds. Okay, so building grounds, let's have a discussion about department head of building and grounds.
I
I've been-
have received the recommendation from the personnel that position be placed at 46,000 plus whatever increment time we were talking 2% or expecting 2% on top of that. Dave probably saves us the increase of what we're asking for him to be paid. If we did raise it to 46 and then went to the 2%, would be 46,920. I believe you would be hard pressed to find a building and grounds person that would know which end of the nail to hit at $40,000. I think Dave brings to the table, to the building, this is plural, because he does work on all of our buildings, and almost all. I just believe strongly, and I think Bill believes along these lines, although please correct me if I'm wrong. But I think he brings a great deal of skill, he brings a dedication, he brings a work ethic that you would be hard pressed to find, and I don't believe you find anybody at 46 that was worth. They might know which end of the nail to hit, but I'm not sure that they know which end of the hammer to use. At 46,000.
He has shown skillful planning and carrying through on projects and so forth.
He's a self-starter, self-motivator.
Right. He lines things up that if he can't do something, he gets the help he needs. I think he should have at least a start better than what he's at.
And this is what he put in for, right?
Yeah,
He
that's
just put, he just puts 2%.
He just put 2% in,
Right.
but he's asked, he's going to you guys and asked for more.
No,
No, he's never asked.
No, I've never asked.
It's one of those things where it's
Right.
Would you guys consider how different than we did the deputies and that, so much this year, so much at the beginning
that
of
would
next
be
year?
fine.
no.
No,
Well, I think we need to follow that. Right.
Well, it depends on what those figures are.
it's like,
You said-
What did you request? I don't remember.
Pardon me?
How much were you asking?
We asked for 46, an increase of 5. Actually, it's not quite 5. Because he's at 40,600 this
It's
year.
coming in 2,000 lower than the budget they did last year.
mhm.
And that should not be effective.
You know, I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, it's nice to see that. But again, it demonstrates he's trying to do his, yeah, it's frugal.
I would say go 2,500 this year and 2,500 next year with the 2% and everything else.
I'm willing to do 45 and 47.
Good Lord.
I agree with Adam.
Good Lord.
Let's go.
You want to try 45.5?
I would go 40, 44 and 46.
How about 46 and 47?
Why? Yeah, but the thing is. Not getting any other kind of things, right?
Pardon?
No. he
No.
doesn't get any other funding.
You can have
I mean, he does a great job and everything else, right?
I'd go along with 44 plus the 2% if we do a raise for anyone.
44 is
What's a deputy get and elected official again, 42 some? And they're gonna be up to 44 something after that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about,
42 too?
42.2.
and then after that, they'll be at, oh, that's what they're gonna max out at, 42.
He is
No,
here.
they get 5%.
I mean, he comes back at night if he needs to. He's,
I would agree to make him equal to deputy wages because he does not, yes, he's in charge of building and grounds, but he doesn't have government accountability
That's the other
situation.
That's true.
No, I mean, he's not gonna go to jail for not changing,
Mismanaging funds or anything.
running a plumbing.
well, I
door
work
or
for this
something.
one. For serious.
Well, for that, yeah,
Yeah,
but, you
yeah.
know, if he pumps the toilet backwards, it's not gonna, I pump toilets,
I
I'm
think
not trying to
that's-
delay
I
that,
think
but
that's almost an insult.
I'll go along with Adam.
2% brings him at 41.5. Well, let's go back to 44 and 47.
well, I mean, you got hired with me there, I said that we make them the same as deputies. And then, and as their pay, you know, would be the same as the deputies. elected official deputy.
There-
I think
there's-
Dave.
So he'd have 42.2,
No
and he'd be
correlation.
at 44, whatever afterwards.
44, 550, and that'd be a $3,000 raise in 12 months.
44,550?
That's what it
That's where
is.
he'd land.
That's where
after
he'll land at the
12
beginning
months.
of 13. Same as deputies.
I would oppose that. I don't think it respects what he brings to the table.
It's almost 46, so.
But I think, well,
No, it's not almost 46.
There's gonna be 2% raises in there too.
Right.
Or 3% after, when we get done shaking this out, 'cause we just gave everybody else threes.
And he's waiting 24 months to get the full benefit of that.
But he won't get anything if the way he's put the budget in. I mean, it's,
well, Dave is a real honest guy, and I agree, he knows what he's doing, but on the same token, I think it's a non-elected position, and I don't think it needs to be any higher than our deputies.
Which is 44.5.
Well, it's.
It will be.
It'll be
40, 44.5 at the beginning of 2023, January 1st, 2023.
I agree with that.
44.5.
So for all the work he does, you're gonna acknowledge that in the amount of about
What did we just give him a
$600.
year ago? Remember,
We gave what everybody else,
we gave Dave a bonus above and beyond anybody else. We can look
We
up the
did.
minutes, it was about maybe 16 months.
It was like $2,500 or
We
something, I
did,
remember.
we gave him a bonus about 16 months ago for the work he did.
It was 5,000.
Above and beyond anybody
It
else.
was him and John, wasn't it?
Him and John got something, I don't remember what the numbers were,
Well,
but
I didn't know Dave got it. from-
Oh, yeah. Well, you
That
were
wasn't
It
here,
might
but
not be the same.
I didn't realize that.
And I think he really appreciated it, and I think going from a 41,000 to a 44.5, plus that 44.5, or 2% on it.
and then we attach that to deputy salaries forever. So he always makes it. I just, we don't have to,
No.
I think so.
Are you talking about the building and grounds or the deputies?
Building grounds.
we're matching them.
We match it and then,
When he leaves, I,
so, okay, you're saying that, so the next guy comes in at a lower rate because he's less experienced?
you reevaluate, you would have a range between, for instance, 40,000 and 50,000, depending on experience
Oh, I think
and
special.
background.
Does the deputy come in at a different rate in a range?
You don't have any say-so over
That's
the
right.
deputy, but we do have say-so over this position. We would hire this position if it were vacated.
Sure.
Do you want to vote on this, Carol?
Oh,
We didn't
I don't know.
really vote on the
I don't think
other.
we need to vote, we
You
just
put a
gotta,
motion
agree to-
on the table
three of
a
us.
few minutes ago.
well, that was for, yeah, I suppose.
I mean,
Up to you guys.
we can vote on it if you want it right now. Then let's go.
45. So,
So if he gets a 5% raise this year, he will be at 42,348, which is $148 more than the department head. At a 5% raise.
What would you give me on top of this year's,
No, I'm just saying, if it was a 5% this year,
on top of this year?
yeah, top of this year, he goes like 42,348.
42,723 for 5%.
Okay. And then the next year, he would go to the 44.5.
What's up there? Aren't we still open for public meeting?
oh, we are, but I got to. Oh, for some reason. It's just me and John, just us and John, man. Everybody else got bored.
So did you guys come up with numbers, just so
Right,
I can write them down? Okay.
Not yet. I'll make a motion that we give Dave the department head of the building grounds a 5% raise this year. And then the raise at the beginning of 2023 that equals our deputies' wage.
Equals the percentage or equals the dollar value?
Dollar value.
Second,
You mean this year as in 2022?
No, 2023, for the 2022 budget, yes, I'm sorry.
2022 budget,
He means for the 2022 budget.
5%. Which is right equal what the deputy should be at. And then 2023 would increase to the wage of monetary value of the department, of deputy. Second,
Yep, any more discussion?
So 2022 would be 42,723. 2023 would be 44,500.
50.
What was your first number? 42?
I thought it was 42,723.
Yeah, 5%. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the deputies are at 44,550 starting in 23.
I figured I didn't have it.
Those are the numbers. Any more discussion? Okay, I guess roll call.
Brumman,
Can you come back to me? I gotta say no.
Gothier,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yeah.
Small.
Yes.
Okay.
Prosecutor.
I don't know anything about this budget period.
You see, he's showing an 8% raise. I'm
I
not
sure
sure.
it's about 8%. And I think that was,
Huh?
I think he was part of the coalition of elected officials get more money.
Yeah.
Scenario.
No, I think that's based on what other prosecuting attorneys are getting.
The comparables.
Well,
It's not even, a comparable.
I think
It's a
it's
low
not
side of
comparable.
comparable.
plus his responsibilities to the board and to the county, not prosecuting attorney, but legal counsel has increased. I would say almost dramatic.
That's not a separate line item, right?
Pardon?
He doesn't
No.
charge that separately?
No,
We don't. No, we give him, don't we pay him something out of commissioners?
that's for direct.
Okay.
But we have a lot of people that go in there and say, hey, Tom, what do you think about this? What should I do with this? They send Tom contracts.
I don't know, somebody else pick this number.
I have a problem with that. So,
Where is that or where is?
where is 85?
85.
Yeah, I have no
85
problem.
even,
That's 85, 350 he's got there.
right, but were you suggesting 85?
No, I said I have no
Oh,
problem
I'm
where
sorry.
he's at. I just didn't finish.
Okay.
I have no problem where that's at for what.
I'm okay with the 85, 350.
I think we need to, everybody, nobody feels strongly
Terry's
about it.
got.
Oh,
Thanks, Dan.
Well, I think you do.
That's a pretty good jump, guys. And we're talking about percentages here.
that's you, to give everybody else 2 years to get up to what they wanted.
Would be my work one.
We go 5 and 5.
Then it gets more.
Let's just leave it at the 85, 350.
You could ask us, say 100 or I'm out of here, what would you do? Because the next guy coming in is gonna be 120. This ain't gonna happen. We're not gonna replace it.
Okay.
On registered deeds, you're gonna have to take off the 28.8 for the third person, make it to half. But I think that was budgeted as a.
Yeah, that part-time, yeah. that's
So
budgeted.
at deeds, you keep that part-time, and then you have to fill in the numbers that we put in. Or that you already have. whatever the number.
49.2,
And I suggest since we made a contingency, put $50 for equalization, we should at least do that for. We're reducing the 28.8, which was the part-time to full-time. We should at least increase the contingency with $50 or $100.
I would agree.
Just to have it in a line.
And 42.2 for the deputy.
Yeah.
That's one there. That's
Wait till somebody crunches the numbers. And they're gonna go, oh, that chair, farm away. Or do you? Police and sheriff. We need to talk to Scott about this one. The only one that I'm curious about is this $120,000 for vehicles. I thought that we were in the leasing game on that.
Yeah,
So we need $120,000 in lease vehicles?
I
I
know
know
he was
thinking to buy
talking,
outright.
I know he was talking about increasing road patrol
I think he's going to 3 vehicles rather than,
too.
normally, traditionally we buy 2, but he was talking about needing 3.
yeah, but we went to a lease thing on all the vehicles, I thought. Years
Yeah, I thought so too. We were leasing cars.
I think you mentioned that 3 of those vehicles are at 200,000.
ago. Well, we just got 2. I do need a big stuff.
And he has his 2 new fancy ones too.
Well, I just think, I mean, we saved 400,000 on a jail and I can see where, I mean, maybe 2 cars this year, not 3, and then do the lease deal and not, we
Well, the
can use
lease
that
deal,
money
yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah, it says. I mean, the lease vehicles I thought was going great. I don't know why that one.
I think that's, you're right, he needs to come in and quit getting.
Yeah, so right now.
Everything else is just wages.
Right.
And it's all union stuff, but that's the only one that I was wondering about.
You can see down there at the bottom, this principal lease payable is 32,500, so, I mean, he's leasing the vehicles. It's just, I don't know.
M&A Stone grant.
Yeah.
Oh, 32.5, so if he gets 3 more. No,
No.
that's not how he would put it in that lease line. item.
Yeah, he would, I don't know.
He got separated this year for some reason. I don't remember the details on it.
But, so, we need to have Scott.
When you're negotiating, if you do negotiate any kind of a relationship with the school regarding the school resource officer, remember that is not, that 36,000 is not the cost
No.
of your school
Yeah,
resource.
no.
You got a lot of other costs in there
Yeah.
that are not reflected.
Resource. Green law enforcement, I don't have to worry about all these are free, arbitrary.
Secondary road patrols.
Um,
When we're at corrections jail, how can we have $189,000 in retirement? There's
That's
only-
what you're paying IOSCO.
Oh, that's paid for the jail down there? No, it's a retirement line item though.
that's the way it broke up when we were doing the murders. They have a whole bunch of people that are retired, so it carries that way.
Oh, 145 is your.
Yeah, 145 is in, but 189,000 in retirement.
Yeah.
Because most all of those folks, large majority were on the old MERS system.
So when they got out, we
You
don't
can
keep,
pay that whether they got out or not.
they're no longer workforce.
Doesn't matter, you're still paying towards, because you don't have in the full balance of what they're gonna be owed throughout their life after.
You're
As
not
long as they're
100%
alive,
Yeah, that's it, 100%, yeah.
If we were 100%,
if they all die, that number will go down. Well, and everybody else. I'll try to die
I
early.
have a lot of 30 years out of the
Yeah.
correction boys. They really, I won't say they run it up, but they just, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
I know.
30-year guys. That's the max.
Okay, emergency services. Let's see here though. Yeah, he kept it the same, so that didn't change. Actually, he's down a little bit.
more shelter, about the same.
Oh, Medical examiner, that's their contract, we have those guys.
I feel we should have, under 648, I think we should have something in there for autopsies,
Some more,
or like $500.
more than 500.
You know, something like five.
Oh.
500 won't do it.
Oh,
for
it
you,
doesn't have it in there, yeah.
But
It's
you
not
think
covered under the contract services?
anything in excess of 10 in
Yeah.
a month or something.
No, there's so, yeah, so much.
648, 835.000, $500.
I just have a quick question. I apologize to go
Yep,
back, but
no
in the
problem.
correction part of it, on the health services, it says in city and out. We had something budgeted,
What thunder, or what activity?
Corrections,
corrections, health,
351.
health
George.
service. Health service in city, what is that? Is that the medical part of the inmates?
I don't have a 351.
Yeah, it's a jail. one. You get that?
Yeah,
No, I don't have it.
351,
Oh,
837,001.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There, we have, if there, I think, IOSCO will cover them for 3 days in the hospital, and then we have to pick it up after that.
Did you see, did you read the new contract, that's the agreement between? I just. came across-
All I know is what Scott told me.
And maybe take the time to look at it, because I think in there it says that we are responsible for the medical part of the inmates down there. So that's, I just want to make sure we budget for
Oh.
it, that's all.
Right.
So,
They pick up a small amount of it.
Should we put
I would read the-
$15,000 in there?
We got one correction officer for a year, there's no money in there for you.
Well, he's going to be doing a lot more than correction officer.
Okay, so we just, okay.
So
But
for
it's
health
way-
services. Should we put 15,000 in there?
Which line item are you on?
What she was just asking about, the 837,001.
She's got 5,000 for Alt City.
so maybe that's what that's for then?
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe.
5,000.
That must be it.
Okay, because I know we were reading that, so, okay, so that's what that was. covered.
That must be it. yeah.
Okay, sorry, thanks.
No problem.
Just want to make sure that we.
All
have
input
that
is valuable input.
in
Okay, dog shelter, let's see, medical examiner, we already talked about. Employee across the fringe, same as before. What the cover is insurance, oops, that's something I have to work on, but that's the new number, 104, 500, and that's the last
104
one.
seems a little high,
That's
I think, for
where it came in.
insurance.
Where it came in.
For our insurance.
It's gonna be around 115,000, but
But,
by the time it's doled out,
rolled out, it was like
it should be
90.
25 to 30,000 being doled out.
Yeah, well, 140 might be only 8,000 or 9,000 high.
Better be high than low.
Yeah.
And then the last one. Is our contingency transfers.
Oh, I don't have the last 2 pages. Oh, maybe. Good there. No. Because that's contingency.
Yeah,
I
so
know.
we're at recurring.
Correct.
Yeah, but I don't have the next 2 pages.
There aren't actually.
I-
There is?
Yes, there are.
Yeah, you have-
968 and 969.
Oh,
We don't have that.
Well, you should.
Yeah, it's over.
You're a major part
They're
of the,
separate, they're not stapled. They're separate.
they're stapled, but we,
I got 968.
Yeah, 68,
yeah,
69.
but it wasn't attached to this.
So we'll take one.
All right, so 968, we got the federal pill, substance abuse. Wait. Oh, how come we don't have money? Oh, never mind, never mind. It's like,
Mental health was a little low.
Okay. Great. You got it, man. So. Mental health, it looks low, so you're thinking we're at 34, you wanna go 36?
No, but 35, 1 or 2 or 3. But very low 35.
Let's make it 35.
Well, our contract reads 35 something. and I
Okay.
can't remember what that's. If you make it 35.5, you will have a couple of $100.
So-
what you need.
I wonder if our contract is 35,224,
32, okay.
you know what I mean, that's why we budgeted that. Do you want to stick with the,
Yeah, what do I, yeah, 135, 224. And then appropriations, other county funds, 969.
I don't know what Public Guardian has in their fund balance, but we may need to up that a little bit. Let me check that MIDC too. I think that's off a few dollars. I'm looking at that earlier today, and I think it's, I will get back to you.
Where's the public guardian?
Where are you reading this at?
Pardon me?
Where are you reading it at?
101,969,999.260.
I think that might be right, Carolyn. It's
Pardon
on-
me?
I think that might be right. That's on the new grant agreement that you gave me. I think that's where
I've
we
got-
pulled that.
Something makes me think it's more like 40,008 something.
Instead of 40,009?
Oh, man, we'll deal with that next year.
40,006.
Only $100 difference
Yeah,
or less.
Well, it's very close.
yeah, and I think we pulled it off from grade you just gave me. She just put that
Okay,
in
then,
yesterday.
child care
My
fund,
memory,
Remember that email? I think we were-
yeah,
just
okay.
190. Yeah, that's right. We got that. That's the, we get that information too.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Meeting, move to adjourn, try to move to adjourn.
When are we,
Do we cover everything?
when do you anticipate doing,
I would love to vote on the general fund, next Wednesday.
what about the other one?
The non-general,
Do we have to have both ready before December 1st or just the general?
generals want to December 1st. Non-generals, in my experience, the 6 years I've been here, that's always been December when we do non-generals.
Set that number for the first of the year. The other ones we haven't had done before the first of the year.
So let's, the next meeting will be the regular meeting unless something pops up and we have to do an emergency. Other than that, we will be, meeting adjourned. Meeting adjourned.